So I was sitting here the other day and I was thinking to myself, I've got these extra Star Legends. I ordered them in a little while ago because I thought they'd sell okay, and I imported them at a certain price, and I thought, I could make a little bit of money on each one, but they're really not selling as well as I thought they would, and I had to reduce the price quite a bit. I'm really not making so much on them at this point, and still haven't sold very many, so I thought, why not have some fun with it? And so I think the reason they're not selling well is because they are Hubstacked, and the Hubstacks, they add a little bit of weight. So I'm going to demonstrate here. Okay, so this is the Hubstacked one, sitting around, should be at 70. The scale's not perfect, but let's call it 71. Sitting at 71. I've just removed the Hubstacks. Sitting at almost 70, so it's only removing about a gram there. Or, well, okay, 69. That's what I was seeing earlier. So it's removing about 2 grams, just taking out the bearings and taking off the Hubstacks and the O-rings and stuff. So we're taking off about 2 grams. Not really what somebody would want to be at. But if I can get it down from 69 to more like, let's call it 67 or something like that for an undersized, it's really not so bad. That's actually what I like to play at anyway, is 68. And I was just thinking for myself, maybe I can turn this Hubstack post into actually a Fingerspin hub by taking a drill press and just drilling it down just barely past this seat for the Hubstack bearing. So if I just drill just a little bit past the Hubstack bearing seat, I think I can get myself a little bit of a dimple. I think there's enough threads in there that I can put a very small axle, which I'm just going to go to the hardware store and get a set screw. But essentially, which is all yo-yo axles are just set screws. But what I'm saying is, I think I can actually remove this kind of ugly looking Hubstacks post and actually make this quite good for finger spins by adding a little bit of a divot in there, a little bit of a dimple to catch your finger. I'm kind of interested. I selected a pretty nice one, so I hope I don't ruin it. Not all of them line up like this, and of course for mine, the ones I'm keeping, I went ahead and picked out ones that line up, but I mean most of them don't line up, and it's just kind of hit or miss whether they do or not, because it's not laser etched after they screw them together. It's actually laser etched before, so you end up with ones with staggered engravings, and I like it when they line up like that. YoYo Factory does the same stupid thing where they have those 2 arrows and they don't really mean anything other than that's where they screwed them together at the time, and they just printed those arrows on there. They're kind of dumb, but these I actually like, and I just wanted them to line up because I thought that looked the cleanest. Anyway, aside from that, I'm gonna hopefully not ruin this one because I like it. It's smooth, it's got those nice lined up engravings, and yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get rid of that bearing post, shave a little bit of weight off, and make it make it so I can do finger spins instead of the Hubstack tricks, which I like the Hubstack tricks too. I'm not real sure why they're not popular other than they add a little bit of weight on there. But yeah, I mean, be interested in having a lighter one of these and one that can do finger spins. This is one of my favorite yo-yos even still, and I've got quite a large collection, so let's have some fun here, and hopefully we don't just ruin a yo-yo. Okay, so the first thing I need to do here is I've got this piece of wood. I need to be able to stabilize the yo-yo so it's not moving around. I don't really want to hold it in my hand. It's kind of dangerous. This drill press spins quite fast. I don't want to, I mean, I can turn down the speed, but to really do it right, I need to mount this so that it's not moving around, so it doesn't wobble, it doesn't cause any irregularities in the the hole that I'm drilling. And basically how I'm planning on doing that is by taking the yo-yo apart first of all and doing each half separately, or not all in one. And actually what I was planning on doing was taking the little axle here, drilling a hole in this piece of wood, and making it just so that I can get this axle really like a nice tight screw fit, you know, just screw it in there, and also drill a slight recess hole for the bearing post to go into, so that it's flush, you know, so it's not sitting just on the bearing post, but actually sitting on the, you know, flattest part of the, you know, like the response seat. So essentially, I'm going to drill a small hole for this to go into. Then I'm going to drill a second hole that's bigger than the bearing post, so that the bearing post can sit into that hole, so it can get nice and flush on the flat surface and have a nice tight. Hopefully I can get really tight on there so that it's not wobbling around, so it's just, you know, a nice tight fit, and you know, it won't spin when I'm trying to drill it. Okay, so the drill that I'm going for the axle is going to be an 1/8, and then for going into for doing a slight recessed hole, so that the post will sit down into the wood and it sits flat on the response instead of on the bearing post. It's going to be this guy here, which is a 5/64. And then for the fingerspin hole, or divot, I guess, I'm going to go with this guy, which is just a, I don't know, it just looked like had a nice profile to the end of it here. Hopefully it's nice and clean, it doesn't look too bad. Just a random drill that I found. It's 3/8. So I wanted to go ahead and show the difference in weight before I continued on with sanding and such. I went ahead and you know, obviously drilled off the posts, and I wanted to show you guys the results of that, and to show you the weight reduction, and to tell you a little bit about what happened, because I ran out of storage on my camera and I hadn't realized it, so I kind of, you know, didn't get some footage that I wanted to get. But obviously, you know, it's already drilled now, so I can't go back and reshoot it. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk about what happened, and what I did to change things and to, you know, get the best result. So you can see here, let's start with the weight. The old one is sitting around 71, the, you know, obviously the Hubstacks version. So I reduced the weight a little bit just by actually removing the bearings and the O-ring, and the plastic Hubstacks actually reduced the weight a little bit on its own. But what I was really curious to see was this result, which is the you know, the drilled out posts, and we can see we went from 71 to 68. That's a 3 gram reduction, you know, with the Hubstacks gone and the bearing posts gone. I'm also going to put a shorter axle in there as well, and it's going to be stainless, so it should lighten it up a little bit. Obviously my scale is not going to be accurate enough to even show it, but it could knock it down to 67. Actually, I think I had it at 67, which, yeah, okay. So sometimes the scale has a little bit of inaccuracy just depending on where you place the yo-yo. Anyway, so yeah, it's really almost, you know, 4 gram reduction. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to show you guys the results of that. And if we zoom in here, I want to show you the differences here. So this is the side that I did really well on. I don't think I could have gotten any better than that with the tools that I had. My drill press is not a professional drill press. It's old. It really got a lot of slop. So yeah, this is the results of the first attempt. You can see that I had actually the way I described to mount it was not the best. It you know, detached from the mount and kind of spun around a little bit, nicked it up, and I had been using a dull drill bit, so the drill bit kind of you know, snagged on the yo-yo, and that's what caused it to rip off the mount. And what I had found was with the sharper drill bit and with a little bit of WD-40 in order to lube the drill bit, I was able to get a better result on the other side, as well as changing my mounting system. So yeah, and I'll go ahead and show the mounting system now. So before, I had just drilled a hole and used the wood as a friction holder for the axle, and I just screwed the axle into the wood. That wasn't a very sturdy mount. What I actually did instead, and you can see that recessed hole that the bearing seat would go into, and what I did instead was I used a panhead screw to with the obviously the same threads as the axle, and that was able to give me and I countersunk it in there so that you know, I could get more of it to stick through. But that gave me a much tighter fitment, and there was no way that the yo-yo was going to detach from the mount at that point, unless of course the threads would have stripped in the yo-yo. That was the only possible foreseeable way that the yo-yo would detach from that. And yeah, it gave me a much better result on the other side. With my second attempt, I was able to get a very good result. Now what I'm going to do now is go through with some sandpaper, might reduce the weight as well, and just sand up these inner cups, just the inner cups, not any of the outer, and it's just for aesthetics, and it's a little sharp because of the drill bit, you know, makes a sharp cut, so I don't want to cut myself on that. Really, this is the side I'm more worried about cutting myself on, but I wanted to smooth it out, maybe get it to look a little bit better. I did play it a little bit, and it does have vibe now. It was like dead smooth. Well, I wouldn't say dead smooth, like nearly dead smooth before, like just a little bit of nail vibe, hardly detectable. Now it's got a little bit of a judder, which is visible vibe. So yeah, that wasn't. I kind of figured it would get a little bit more vibe, but we'll see once I get the right size axle in there. We'll see how the vibe is, but I think it's probably going to vibe from now on. But it does play lighter, and it's quite interesting to see the result of removing the bearing post, to see, you know, that interesting weight reduction, and you know, it's definitely going to play. It plays. I'm not going to say better, but definitely different, and it plays a lot faster. So a very interesting result, and we'll have to see how it cleans up. I think it's going to clean up pretty nice, and it's going to be fun. So here's our result after way too much time spent sanding. You can see the just drilled one over here, and the sanded version. There's a banshee. Anyway, so yeah, here's Hubstacked, drilled Hubstack post, and then after I've done some sanding and, you know, with multiple grits, I didn't want to film it. It's too messy of a process. I didn't want to get my camera in that kind of situation. I mean, I was wet sanding, so there's water and aluminum powder everywhere. So yeah, I just thought I'd show the difference. And last bit is just sanding the other one, which is yet another time-consuming process, obviously. But I think it's worth it. It looks pretty good. I think I couldn't have come out with a better result, especially with how terrible it was looking, this one in particular, after I drilled it. This one looks actually, I think I couldn't have gotten it any better, but that one was pretty bad. So let's go ahead and get a final grams reduction reading here. So first original 71. Obviously there's a little bit of irregular scale that's not accurate. Next one, final, looks like we're down to 67, 66 even. That's quite a reduction. So that's about 5 grams. That's pretty significant. So here we have the result of the potting experiment, and I gotta say I'm pretty happy with it. I think it came out really well, especially when I was concerned when I messed up the 1/2 on the first attempt, but I was able to sand it out pretty well, and it looks pretty okay. I actually think it looks pretty good. I would say it almost looks maybe even better than the stock. I like the color contrasts. In terms of like vibe, what went from a pretty decently smooth yo-yo, like almost nearly dead smooth, it's definitely got more vibe, but not as bad as when I didn't sand it. It was pretty bad when I first put it together, and I did add the shorter axle, which I think helped a little bit too. But it was pretty bad when I first drilled it. But now it's not, I mean, it's what I would consider is like a bad vibe, but not unplayable. And there's no judder, you don't see the vibe, you can just feel it. In terms of speed, it's definitely faster than obviously the Hubstack version. But plays pretty good. I like it. Pretty happy with the result overall. Now in terms of is it worth it, I would say if it's a cheap yo-yo and you're just looking to have some fun, yeah, but it's pretty time consuming. It was a lot of sanding. If you actually look at my 2 fingers, this fingernail used to be as long as this one. That's how much I sanded. I wore down my fingernail. Yeah, it was like 4 hours of sanding, which, you'd think it's aluminum, it sands fast, or at least that's what I was thinking, but the anodizing coat is like really thick, and it's way harder than like aluminum is. Aluminum oxide's really tough material, at least that's what I found out. But yeah, I mean, other than the time, I think it was definitely worth it. Now, does it finger spin is the important question here. And I'm going to say kind of. Like, I'll never land a finger spin on it, but I mean, I can barely even turn it onto my finger because I'm real terrible, but I mean, I can definitely get a finger spin locked in here. So the reason I let it die out there is because string is really tangled, and I just wanted to show you how long it can actually finger spin if you actually get it on your finger. I know I'm never going to be able to like land one on this, or at least not without a lot more practice, just because of the issue here is like when I first messed up the first half, it was really exaggerated, where I hit off center of the axis of spin, or where the axle goes through. So the holes are slightly off center, even the one that I got really, like, probably as good as I could get it with the tools that I had. And being off center like that, it's going to kind of like vibe a lot on your finger. So when you try to land it, it's kind of got a tendency to want to hop off and like jump off your finger. And I can hardly land finger spins on something like this, which is designed specifically to make finger spins like super easy. I even have trouble on the stuff like the pivots, and I just know, like, like right now, I just have to like place it on my finger. That's the only way I'm going to be able to do it. But I mean, it finger spins, and I mean that was the end goal. So I think it was overall a success. It wasn't like, you know, like as good as I thought it was going to be, which, you know, nothing. It's hard to get anything perfect, especially when you're doing it first time around. But yeah, I think the mod went pretty well. It's definitely lighter, faster, just overall better playing. That being said, I like the original one better, I think, just because it's slightly more stable, it's way smoother, and I don't know if it looks better or not. I haven't decided which one I like better. So there you have it. That's the Star Legend modded for finger spins instead of Hubstacks. I haven't seen a video on it yet, so I figured I'd post the process and see what you guys think. I think it came out really nice. Looks pretty good for a mod. In fact, I almost think it looks better than the original in certain regards.